Welcome back to the LCS Proving Grounds presented by Verizon. We're getting ready for our third game. We've got a series scrum. It's tied 1-1.
That's right. It is now effectively a best of 3, which is a lot more tense than the best of 5 since there's less room for error for both these teams. But now, no org is in their comfort zone. They are now back on Blue's side, the side that they've played more games. I believe you mentioned since March 3rd. Long time ago since they played a red side, so this should be the place where they have more comfort that they have shown before. And if their picks didn't give us that impression before, now I think we'll really start to see what no org is about.
Yeah, but they are putting Cloud9 Academy onto red side as well. And we talked about how neither team really has been playing much red side. The last time Cloud9 Academy played on red side, it was against Zeus Gaming in that best of 3 where they lost game 2 to tie it up 1 apiece. So now that they are put in a position they might not be as comfortable in, this will be interesting to see how NorOrg are going to try to draft around that.
I think they're going to prioritize Hecarim more than anything else. This pick has clearly dominated the first 2 games. You're now back on Blue's side, so you're going to be forcing Cloud9 to ban this out. And if Cloud9 wasn't willing to pick Seraphine themselves, they might be thinking of a Seraphine ban as well. Maybe they could take it on red side. But more than anything, I think this has to be a battle of junglers. We need to see a game where both junglers are playing picks that are highly relevant to the meta right now. 2 games of Hecarim versus Unorthodox, Hecarim versus Unorthodox, and even Hecarim versus picks like Lilia and Udyr and Olaf and Graves, etc., Nocturne, can still dominate. Of course it's going to crush these other kinds of picks. So I think that is where my eyes are at right now. We need to see these roles stabilize, and then we can gauge these 2 teams' strength more closely, since the first 2 games were stomps in both ways.
Crumbs, we've got Tristana, Seraphine banned away first for each team. That Lucian never going to be allowed for Copy. Copy, before this series, had only played Lucian and Orianna throughout this entire Proving Ground circuit, this tournament that we've seen from him. He'd only played the 2 champions, and in this series, he's already had to grow outside of that comfort zone, try to play things that they had played before back in the Academy split. So I'm curious to see what they decide to grab for Copy, if maybe they just leave that all the way till the bitter end to try to get a nice blind pick or counter pick into that.
They're really forcing his hand. This is, I believe, the 3rd game where they're banning out the Lucian and Orianna, right? The only 2 picks played in the Proving Grounds. So making sure that he doesn't get anything comfortable. And frankly, a pick like Lucian for most mid laners does take quite a bit of time and practice to play to the level that you need to be able to dominate lane and then team fight well. So you can count on most mid laners that have this pick to actually have put a lot of time into it. So banning it away when it's such a high priority can result in subpar performances from other mid laners. I didn't think we saw that on the Victor, but we are now seeing the trade. Oh, and it's going to be Udyr over the Hecarim instead. So
I was going to say,
much prefer. We actually got what we wanted.
We did get what we wanted, and we didn't see Udyr banned. He'd been banned because no org had been red side both times, banned on the red side. But this time we will just have the trade. Udyr for Hecarim, and I think Cloud9 Academy, they're just going to wait it out. They're going to grab probably bot lane right here to be able to secure something that's going to be pretty strong into that bot lane to be able to contend, but they actually grab that Hecarim just in case.
Yeah, it's you get something both ways, right? You can argue you don't want to pick the jungler right now since it's already picked and you can guarantee it in the 2nd rotation, but you also get to hide your composition a little bit more by taking it away this early, since it is absolutely the expected pick from Cloud9. Anything else would be just suspicious. So this makes a lot more sense, and it's going to be Varus for value. Very exciting pick here, offering a strong laning phase and some very powerful team fighting as well.
Usually the counter in to Jinx into the laning phase, as you had mentioned. And I want to see what they're going to do to try to make up for it. Because usually when we see Varus, it is going to be that lethality Varus, but it is also that utility that he can provide for a team. Something that's going to be able to help them out with the chain of corruptions. And it's something that now you're going to have a very safe bot lane in that Thresh. You grab Alistar or Rel, this Thresh can easily play either of them before they can jump on top of Varus.
It's a strong deny. This would have been the argument for why Cloud9 would have taken their support earlier on. You take the Thresh, you can guarantee peel for the Jinx. Now you don't really have the absolute ideal peel champion for you, so you're going to have to go and pair it with a Rel. The good news is that NorOrg doesn't really have a comp that is so good at diving the Jinx like we saw in Game 1, but it's not like No Org doesn't have something that is quite powerful in early skirmishes. The Udyr Thresh combination is quite deadly, as Udyr's biggest weakness is really just getting out of the fight once you get locked down, but this allows you to run in very confidently, then get lanterned out and serve as a better form of engage than you would otherwise be by simply running in and trying to run out.
As we get into the second part of bans, we have Sylas bench, not going to have that flexibility this time around for Viper and 5Fire, making sure that it's not going to be something that can steal some really crucial ults. Again, Onslaught of Shadows available to be stolen. Even the Magnet Storm is nice to be able to take away and be able to corral everyone into a tight pit. Jinx ult works too, but these options are now gone. Now we have to go back to the drawing board for a top, for mid, on what each team wants to do, and I'm still confident that Copy is going to be the one that they give counterpick to the side on Cloud9.
That'd be really interesting if it goes towards Copy side, because No Org is targeting Darshan here with their bans. Two games of Ornn, not letting them have it. I'm anticipating more focus towards him because you've already put so many bans in Copy's direction, the Lucian and the Orianna. And with the first 2 games, I think they're happy with how Copy has been playing and how he's been kept down with the Lucian and the Orianna, since it felt like 5Fire got to do quite a bit. The Akali was perfectly fine, and then in the last game, the Sylas into Victor had a lot of opportunities for some strong team fighting. So I think that they're targeting Darshan here, and I'm curious to see if he actually goes for something a little bit more tanky, because the Scion is open. It's going to be TF banned as well, because it's an interesting ban since it would have been open for 5Fire as well, since he really likes to play that. And it's going to be Victor. It's going to be the blind Victor, just something nice and easy for Copy. And Darshan now gets that counter pick option, and curious to see if he actually gives us something spicy. I still think that he'll respect Viper too much, and he'll go for something that, at the worst, the spiciest, a Jace, an Aurelia, but nothing like a Tryndamere or a Vayne.
At least that's not what we'd expect to go, especially when you're trying to go up against someone like Viper, who has gotten so much confidence in this Season 11 split, where you can see how he has transformed from the beginning all the way to now. He has so much confidence. That stage fright that he once had is completely gone. He's been playing immaculate League of Legends in that top lane, and having someone like Anda who can back him up at almost every moment is definitely something that has given No Org that lead and advantage over so many different amateur teams.
I think that's a huge part of Viper's story, what you mentioned with confidence, his Season 11 split, because if you go back to his previous split on FlyQuest, the benching, the weak performances, they had started from solo queue to a Riven monster that was just the only one playing it, winning off it, and then the criticism, the poor games, the benchings, and now at that low, giving him the opportunity to play so many games and get back up to that bruiser savant that he was before he joined the LCS, I think is exactly what he needed. I think he's quite happy to get it, and it's going to be just a tank matchup in the top lane, the Renekton into the Gragas, which is what we had hoped to see, but now Viper's confidence will have to translate beyond the laning phase and into some very strong team fights, because you now have diving buddies with the Akali that 5Fire played so well in Game 1.
And into Victor, too. Something immobile that wants to be able to clear out the minion waves back out until the later stages of the game when he's able to get so much damage racked up. In the meanwhile, you have to now contend against an Akali, who's always going to try to stick to you. Make sure that your level 1 through 5 is hell.
The Akali is also going to be up against the same kind of carries that you saw in Game 1, right? It was the immobile mid that you mentioned in Seraphine, now it's Victor, but the Jinx as well, without very good peel. The Gragas is a bit better peeling than the Ornn, mind you, and so can the Rel, but it's nothing like a Tahm Kench or a Thresh that can really get you out of a sticky situation. If you get jumped on right away, there's not much they can do for you. So I want to see what 5Fire can do. It's a little bit harder to execute the Akali this time around, but the performance he had on Game 1 was so good that if he can just replicate a fraction of that, I think this pick will be worth it.
There's also a lot of good pick potential with the composition they've drafted as well. Varus, Thresh, bot lane. They are great tools to try to back that up so they can get these leads. This is a skirmish-heavy comp if I've ever seen one out of No Org, going up against Cloud9, who still are indexing towards that mid to late game team fight style.
It's one of my favorite things about this composition and how they paired it with the Akali, because when you have these magic damage assassins, you really want as little opportunity and reason for Cloud9 to buy magic resistance. You're trying to make sure that Akali gets as much damage as possible, that there's no MR targets on the enemy team. And so when the CC and engage doesn't come at the form of AP damage, but rather from a Varus, from the Renekton, even the Thresh, Udyr's damage is negligible, it makes it so that the enemy won't buy magic resistance as early on, or really will think twice about doing so. So it allows Firefire to be that high burst assassin throughout a much longer period in the game.
This time around, we do not get that early invade coming in from No Org to try to see if they can gather that vision and information on Surenfire. Instead, it is a pure line of scrimmage. Wards put in the river, wards put inside their own jungle, just to make sure that no shenaniganeries are going to be committed to on this game 3.
Absolutely no shenaniganeries. I like that word. I had to say it to remember it because I've never heard it before.
It's because I made it up.
All words have to start somewhere, Magical.
You know, it's one of my favorite words to say that I started saying a long time ago. I don't know why, but I just did. And that's so it's always fun to say. But you know what? You know it's also fun? Watching this game of League of Legends Game 3. Proving Grounds presented by Verizon. With both teams tied up 1 apiece, as you had mentioned, it is a best of 3 now. These two want to be able to get that little bit of a lead going into the 4th one so they can feel a little bit loosey-goosey on how they can play things around. But right now, nobody's doing anything too crazy, too wild. No risks are being taken or even gambles committed to.
Not even many gambles in the jungle pathing, as 3 games in a row, both are choosing to go from bottom to top side, just helping out their top laners, getting leashes from their bot lane, and it always results in the scuttle fight in the top side. So we need to see what Darshan and Viper do with their mid lane, or pardon, their waves here, because right now it seems like Viper has already crashed his wave, and so that will allow Darshan to build up his own in the top side a little bit sooner, and could result with priority here, as Viper's already given up this control here, gets awarded the try, but we need to see what Darshan is doing with this minion wave. Yeah, it's got his sooner, it's got a good chunk.
Yeah, chunk back and forth on each of them. You have Viper trying to unfreeze this wave. Darshan, of course, not wanting to give that up, knowing that this is a perfect position with mid lane pushed so far forward by Copy. Just easy wave clear, waiting until Firefire gets a bit of assistance coming in from Anda, since both junglers are topside. I'm curious to see who's going to be the first on the pull. Who's going to be the first to commit, as Viper got a lot of damage onto Darshan that time around.
Yeah, the Renekton with the Conqueror can really start to win these long trades, but now the crab has spawned. Now the Hecarim gets spotted.
There he is.
So we need to see who is collapsing. This Viper has the inside track on him, and Anda is a bit lower though, so Cloud9 could win this fight if Darshan is in range. Oh, he's not in range yet.
Run stun job done, getting a bit of damage onto Surenfire as he tries to get the dodge back on to Viper. Flashing 2 with the stun. He's barely alive, but he finally dies to first blood. Surenfire traded back, but it's a double kill for Hecarim.
Oh, the health, the low health on Anda made such a big difference there. Because he didn't use the smite earlier in his own camp, he doesn't end up as healthy as the Hecarim.
Whoa!
But the fight is not over yet. Viper has no flash though, but he can dash out again.
Double TP, Big is here. They're trying to see if they can help out, but it was a double TP from Copy to take down Viper once more. It is 3 early kills for Hecarim.
That is huge, and he TP'd for that. He TP'd for that play. It's not over. Firefire's getting chunked out. Anda is back here, but there's no jungle camps. He's just here chilling, waiting. He'll have to go back to the bot side of the map as Big is trying to salvage this play and get something for Cloud9, but the damage is already done. It's a huge advantage for them. 3 kills for the early Hecarim, Magical. This is your solo queue nightmare. It's the Hecarim that goes to every lane and just kills them constantly. TP's only to give him another kill.
Getting a bit of deja vu from the EG Academy game and Cloud9 Academy with this early lead grabbed up by Cloud9. As we get to take a look at this replay, it was an interesting attempt coming in from No Org, but they just don't respect the damage that Cloud9 has.
They don't respect their health as well. Surenfire does a good job in kiting away from the Renekton, not giving an opportunity for Renekton and Udyr to immediately collapse onto him. And so that allows Darshan to safely collapse, knowing that his jungler won't be burst down. And so the TPs come instantly to try to fight this. But Viper is here just because his support has made it all the way up here, but his TP gets answered instantly by 2 from Cloud9, not expecting that the number advantage he thought he had was really just an illusion. And now you're dealing with an incredibly fed Hecarim. Can't wait to see what he's got. Probably Boots and Sheen, my guess. Nope, he's going for tank this game.
Going for that to be able to survive the damage that 5-Fire can deal, because that's really going to be the major damage source, since it's going to more than likely be that lethality Varus, something that is going to be chucking out a lot of those arrows, but if you have enough tanky stats, it's not really going to do much to the horse.
You got to get to the backline, and you're right on that. If it was damage Hecarim against lethality Varus, a single arrow would just take you out of the fight, and you'd have to go back to heal before you think about engaging. So now you can actually go onto these carries, buy some time, and allow yourself to be peel for King and for Copy. So it's the fact that you have less self-peel from your carries that prompts you to build a little bit tankier. Darshan is 6. If Viper's trying to get to the wave, not going to let him.
He's trying his best. Look at the damage coming in. Where's that flash in with the belly slam? Solo kill. TP topside. He's probably going to die, but Darshan, he already won the fight. It's a 1-for-1.
All right, well, 5-Fire gets some gold back on the side of No Org. That's pretty big, but it will come at the cost of this dragon, and the wave top is another added bonus for No Org. 5-Fire path is back top here to crash this wave. Would have loved to see him crash that a little bit sooner, but they will still deny Darshan here while not missing much on their own, since Andy is also going to the Hecarim's jungle, clearing out those raptors and making sure that they don't just get the dragon and their whole jungle for free. They have to be punished for it.
It's a lot of minions that will be missed out by Darshan in this top lane. But honestly, I don't think it's that big a deal. You can see that he has a CS lead over Viper, since Viper had that TP play that went so awry for him, the double TP answer from Cloud9 that gave Darshan more lead. Not just that solo kill he was able to grab for himself, but now in gold lead from the minions themselves. This Renekton, you drafted for its lane prowess, for being able to win these 1v1s. He's 0-3 at the moment. This Renekton now has lost all of its valuable assets that it can commit to.
He's going to turn into a stun bot, and one that won't live very long, since he's going with the DPS build still. So it'll be a lot harder for Viper to play his rollout now, but still, when you're dealing with carries and you have multiple backline threats, going into just a assassin Renekton that can at least trade 1-for-1 from this position is going to be valuable for him. So his job is harder, but the mission still remains the same. It's eliminate King and Copy when you get into these team fights. The side lane battle is pretty much over, though. The Darshan with his tank build is not going to be susceptible to dying to Udyr and Renekton, most likely. Nope. As long as he keeps his ultimate, he'll be able to peel himself and survive through his sheer body mass.
Well, and with a huge minion wave crashing into the turret, Surenfire was hoping to be able to start up that Rift Herald, knowing that Darshan could show up, but you can see mid lane. You see on top of that control ward, Value Big, we're both spotted up, heading towards the mid lane. The Flash corrupting on top of Copy, dying immediately.
That was really good. That roam from the bot lane entirely unanswered by Cloud9. It was the move. Oh, good side step.
He was not done there. I thought he was going to go for a bit more, but it seems that all it was to make sure that Surenfire can't show up to try to contest this Rift Herald take. That will give No Org a little bit more of an advantage. Maybe getting gold back into Viper's pockets to get this Renekton into a position where he's not just a stun bot.
Yeah, and we'll see where Anda gets to pop this one, because now he's going to encounter the Hecarim. But that earlier play, that play to the mid lane was very good for No Org, burning the Flash and Varus, because this game has barely been about bot lane. This whole series practically ignores the bot lane. We don't get to see it. The action isn't there, so it really turns into who can use their summoners most effectively in other lanes. So the Varus with the Flash ultimate onto the Victor in the rotation to the Rift Herald to help the Udyr when he would try to solo it, catches Copy off guard, doesn't even get to burn the Flash, and now he gets to go back to the lane and farm safely, because even if he gets caught, he'll always have the Lantern, and it's working very well in his favor, as he has a pretty significant CS lead, even if Jinx gets this wave. Cheeky little.
No, I like that. I like that. Making sure they're not getting back to be able to spend that gold so easily, since, you know, getting the kill mid lane for Value to have that lethality Varus that much closer to getting his first lethality item. We're going to do a check-in really quick of where the total gold is. And unfortunately for the side of Cloud9, because those 3 kills did go over to Surenfire, that means he's got the most gold by far, and we need to see this Hecarim be able to use this lead to now continue to dominate Anda. But Anda has been answering, making sure that he's not where Hecarim is. He's everywhere else, so they can get these little targets and steal them underneath his nose.
And it's very useful that we got to see this because, yeah, the gold lead is on the Hecarim, but it often just translates to more speed and more health bars on your team. It's not a lot more damage, whereas the carries on this side of NoOrg actually have received gold, and they're out CSing their counterparts. So the carries being more fed and having stronger items always matters much more here. And so, yeah, Cloud9 has a little bit of a gold lead, but it's not exactly where you'd like to see it. So I think that NoOrg is in a fine spot here, and with the Varus ultimate, when it's back up, I can expect to see them try to pick Copy or maybe Hecarim once again, just because Hecarim's bounty is huge, and if you can catch him in a stun lock without Merc Treads, you do have enough crowd control to kill him quite quickly.
I almost wonder if they just wait for that Flash to be available for value, since he is a smart boy over there. Flash is an offensive summoner spell and should always be used as such, but he's got to wait for that to be able to get that Corrupting Chain stacked up. Right now, Fire's got to be a little bit safer in this mid lane. He was able to dodge away from Fire as the eye was popped bot lane to give more gold over to value and unlock that bot lane a little bit more. Maybe looking to see if they can force a fight, a skirmish around this upcoming dragon.
That Rift Herald pop bottom now will allow the Thresh and the Value's Varus to rotate into the river. They don't have vision. Oh, Hecarim face check!
Oh, face checked right into them with the Lantern too. Onslaught of Shadows. He has a huge amount of speed to try to be able to get away from this one. Surefire's alive, but look at Fire dive into the backline, into the Flash and cleanse out of King. Isles going back in with the Magnet Storm, but look at the damage coming in from the Rocket. Not enough to be able to take down Anda. Instead, they're going to lose Copy. Zap connecting right in the middle of everyone. Viper takes a bit of chunk of damage coming in from Darshan, but right now, NoOrg, they have kept Cloud9 at bay. They don't want to relent just yet. They want the dragon.
Fire was a complete ninja in that fight, just bouncing back and forth. I mean, the initial star of the show was the Hecarim running away so much, but then the flipping and turning from Fire was huge there to not only go on to King, but the instant recognition that Copy is overextended. They can go after him. Exhausted, CC'd, instantly jumped on by Akali. They get the kill that they wanted, and still Copy's died twice and hasn't had an opportunity to flash away. Shows you how quickly NoOrg has been in finding these members. So it initially starts with, yes, the face check onto the Hecarim, but the Varus ultimate doesn't come out right away, so he doesn't get burst immediately. And then when they try to go after Jinx, they get her flash from Andis, but watch Copy. He's too close to the wall, gets Varus ultimate immediately, and then just gets instantly popped. Didn't stand a chance.
Isn't that the whole idea of the Akali into Victor? You see the squishy boy walking right towards you, and you're like, ooh, free kill. I love me a free kill right there. Fire now sitting 1-0-2 on this Akali. Gonna be in a great position with that Night Harvester build once more, just to be able to get more of that ability, more speed in these fights to constantly be dodging around and trying to be able to assassinate the backline.
That spike is going to be huge right now because there isn't one on the side of Copy and because King doesn't have his own flash. So they have to respect what's going on with this bot lane because the Kali might be topside, but she still has teleports. So it really is keeping King and Isles down here. This is not going to get a kill.
I'm surprised they're going for it. They do have Onslaught of Shadows. The Flash coming in with the Fear double dodge away from Fire. As you said, Crumbs does not get the kill, but mid lane sure as hell is going to be a kill because Copy dies for the third time.
Again. Oh, he used the Flash this time, but he still was caught by Anda. I think this might have been the Chem Tank speed from the Udyr that catches him, and it's a play that's not answered by Cloud9. They try to go for a member, but it's one of the most difficult champions to gank for these two. The mobility from Fire having his ultimate and flash available were too much, whereas Victor just doesn't have the tools to escape multiple members as we saw already. And already 0-3, he died those 2 times having flash. Now without him, he's going to continue to get picked on. He's doing a good job in farming and keeping up, but it's giving too much gold over to the side of NoOrg, and that's where the damage is mostly being done. This Varus is starting to get real dangerous, Magical. He already had the Duskblade. Once he completes a Mirror Mana and starts getting more of these items, the carries won't stand a chance. they get hit by one of these arrows, they're not sustained carries. They're going to be able to just take one arrow, go back to base, show up again, and if you get hit one more time, then it's back to the fountain for you before you can think about fighting again.
Especially for poor King, for poor Copy. If they take one piercing arrow, probably going to be down below 50%. And you know if that happens, Firefire is going to look to be able to execute the kill. But at the moment, they have to wait it out still. They need to be able to get that Muramana completed for value to make sure there's more arrows just in case they miss out. But they've done a great job in that. The gold, Surenfire and Darshan were the ones that were on top just a bit before. But now that they've gotten a lot of plate gold put into the pocket of value, as well as a couple of those kills, he has been able to usurp that title as #1 gold bearer for both teams.
And I think the positive thing out of value having so much gold is that if we remember how this game began, it was just a complete one-sided affair from the side of Cloud9 in the top side. Viper is 0-3, but because so much action has happened elsewhere, he has now been allowed to catch back up.
Viper.
Thresh is here, though.
It's a fast horse, man. He was galloping across, but it's a lantern to safety with the box to make sure there's not going to be the continued chase. Rocket, not connecting, barely, but they got the fear they needed to pick up the kill for Darshan. Big trying to be able to escape that, but he's dashed back, pulled back in with a rampage for Surenfire.
That is a good move out of Cloud9. No Org thought they could overextend and get away with it because Thresh was lanterning him out, but King and Isles rotating from the mid lane to the top side were able to catch them. They only lose a tier 1 into the bottom lane, but I think getting that gold back and getting these summoners is going to be huge for Cloud9. They continue to strike Renekton. He continues to be overextended, and because the action was elsewhere, even us had been distracted from the action and how easy it would be to kill this Renekton. So yeah, you lantern him out, but the Rel is already on the way. Even Victor was moving towards here. It's lucky that the ultimate did not hit, because the kill going over to Jinx would have been really good for Cloud9, giving more gold over to the Jinx. But alas, the Hecarim and the Gragas get more fed. They need to start thinking about how to transition their gold leads and getting their carries back on track.
Especially because it's not that Trinity Force build for Hecarim this time around out of Surenfire. He's gone for the tank build. He's gone for the interrupt into the back line, making sure he can disperse no Org. They need this Jinx to be in a better position since now, value, he's got that Muramana. He's working towards being able to complete that, and once it is in just a little bit of time, that is going to be so much more damage coming in from this Varus.
And it looks like this Varus is already getting some work done. Akali is on the way. They want to get this fight going. Doesn't look like she's going to TP. Can TP to the lane minions behind. Oh, another arrow into Copy. He still doesn't have flash.
No, he doesn't, and look who's behind them. It's Viper. He's looking to see if he can get the flank. They've spotted him out with the laser pointer, but it's down to 50% on this Dragon. Looking for the hook. It connects onto Darshan, and they've lured him up. Trying to see if they can at least disperse for now. Re-engage. It's going to be there. Viper, he wants it. They're all corralled right there by the wall, even with the Magnet Storm and the Onslaught of Shadows. 2 kills coming in from King. He's all excited, trying to see who else he can take. Looking for Firefire over the wall with the Shuriken flip, with Isles and Copy so low, but King relatively untouched. Looking to see if he can chase down Big, get himself 3 kills with the Zap connecting. There it is. He's on a killing spree after one fight.
They rushed into it. No Org. They thought they had it. Oh, Firefire's going to go down to a complete ace. 5 for 0. They had the fight, Magical. They totally won it. All they had to do was keep poking. They needed to just not engage. Just let the Varus continue to poke them away. But when they overextended and they put themselves in the face of Cloud9, they immediately responded. These tanks have so much AoE, they're not going to be scared of going and peeling with their bodies against the diving Akali and the Renekton. And that's what happened. So initially the damage goes onto the carries and it's still fine. But here, just let the Varus poke.
Yep.
They had no business doing this. The arrow misses, but now it's on cooldown. This is not DPS Varus. He's got nothing to do in this fight, whereas Cloud9 have a Jinx. She gets excited. She continues to pop off in this fight, and it goes entirely their way. No Trigger to play more to their Varus. It was so strong. It looks so good.
It did. It did. They, like you said, though, they got trigger happy. They needed to wait for value to continue to get that damage. They thought they had their advantage because Darshan was so low. But you can see it's not enough. You need to be able to poke out the carries. Copy was nearly taken out of the fight, but not quite. He was able to constantly kite back, constantly put down those gravity fields, and then the help out of Surenfire with that onslaught of shadows to completely disperse and disband No Org, rip them apart, and now have put them down. Almost 3,000 gold, 2,500. That favors Cloud9 Academy in this game 3.
And they've also solved the problem of how do you get gold onto your carries again. Well, Jinx is now Giga Fed. She's got 2 items, big bounty, 3 kills on her belt, and has both summoners up, so she's going to be able to team fight much more easily this next time around. So it's now looking real good for Cloud9. Value's caught.
Value caught in a rampage for King 2. And trying to see if they can keep Cloud9 away, but they found Fire. Zap not going to be able to tag him. Instead, he's going to look to see if he can dash away, but he's stunned up, locked down, killed off, double kill from King. Big trying to get away, but they have enough damage from the AoE. Pulled back in with the lantern. They're looking for the turret instead. It's going to be a death sentence onto Darshan. Zap connect. No rocket available. Instead, they don't even need to. They want to go immediately for the Baron.
A huge turn there from Cloud9. Darshan roaming in from the Raptor camp, ulting Value. Yes, he had flash, but the cask was great. The follow-up was immediate as he gets caught in the Magnet Storm. And now Cloud9 is running away with this game. And it does have flash.
That's a lot of damage on Isles. Ferromancy's shield to try to be able to get away. Ando wants to be able to take him out at least, get 1 kill. It's going to be the smite and the Baron secured, but now they got to run away. Or the TP's there. Fire's going to be able to show up into the fight if he needs to, but they got a lot of damage coming on as Ando is on the other side, being chased away. They've got King excited. Even with the damage coming in from Fire, it's not enough. Only Viper now trying to be able to get away with the help of Big and Valley on the other side, but they're only going to be able to get a little bit of damage on top of him. Finally, the shutdown is there, but onto the wrong target. They got to shut down this Jinx. They got to shut down King. He looks to continue to chase, dodging away from the poke. The Zap connects from him. He's excited. He's got the damage. Darshan's on the other side, cleanse to make sure there's no root, and they've got the kills.
Another ace for Cloud9. And had the option of going for the steal or the kill, goes for the kill. They're thinking about taking the fight afterwards instead, since the teleports were coming out, but it just was not enough. Cloud9 is so strong at this point, and they weren't fighting a concentrated attack from No Org. It was just multiple members split up one at a time, and it was so easy for them to deal with them because there was no immediate threat onto King. His biggest fear is multiple people diving him at the same time. But in all these fights, it's 1v4 right now. Once Udyr dies, it's 1v4 once again. Then Akali dies, now they're in range of Renekton. It's another 1v4. You can win these fights all day.
Every single time, it seems like they don't learn their lesson, old man, and they get run down by Cloud9. And all that gold, we were wondering when Surenfire was going to give it to his big bro over there in King, his best friend, and he finally has done so. 7 kills now onto Jinx.
Oh, she is just ridiculous now. Has the LDR completed just to be able to burst down the Udyr, so even he doesn't stand a chance anymore. And the poke from Varus, that's the problem with this pick now. Because he's now falling behind in levels, the natural armor for Cloud9 is much higher, so the lethality build is gonna be less effective. Now the poke against Baroned up minions will be barely relevant in clearing out the creeps, so they're just grouping up, and if they can get a fight here, they'll end the game.
They've got this goon squad. It's protect the president, protect the king and your sovereign lord of king. With the engage coming in from Darshan inside the base of No Org, game 3, they want to get up 2-1. They've already got value. They've got an inhibitor waiting to be able to take down with the help of this Baron, and they want to be 1 game closer to getting themselves guaranteed into the finals. No Org might have to put up a last stand now, because otherwise you're going to lose the whole damn base. They got the pull onto Surenfire, but he's too damn tanky, and they've taken out Viper onto back into his own fountain. 1 Nexus turret remains. Cloud9, they have this fight. They've got Jinx to tear down the towers, tear down No Org. They're the kings of Academy, and they want to make sure they continue to be the kings of Proving Grounds against No Org. No way they're going to be able to do it. It's game 4, baby, with Cloud9 Academy in the lead.
Cloud9 is waking up. They are looking real clean now, taking all the opportunities that No Org presented to them. And frankly, No Org had that fight. it started wrong with Cloud9 punishing that top side, but NoOrg can look back and think that they had a winning position in this game. It was that Dragonfly Magical that we need to see and understand what happened there, because NoOrg cannot tilt from this one. It's looking bad. They are backs against the wall now on match point, but they're still showing that they are thinking about how to win this game. Those roams from bottom to mid lane, the constant abuse of Victor, those were great signs of life out of them.
But the thing is, there's a worrying trend going on for me in this series for NoOrg right now. Game 2, Cloud9 were able to win just under 27 minutes. This third game, under 25 minutes. As these games continue to go faster and faster, Cloud9 Academy, this is how they've been playing this entire time. Early aggression to end the games quickly.
You know what's another worrying trend? You talk about speed. Hecarim's still undefeated. Hecarim is still just crushing games. This champion is too good.
Yeah, he is. I thought it would be banned in the third game. I was wrong on that one. But Cloud9 Academy, they're up 2-1 over NoOrg. They're at match point. If they win the next game, they're guaranteed into the grand finals, kicking out NoOrg. We'll be right back with the analyst test right after this break.
Welcome back to the LCS Proving Grounds. We just wrapped up game number 3 where Cloud9 Academy brought the score 2-1 in their favor. And if you've been watching this series, Max, I feel like we do have to talk about how things kicked off once again, because unlike game number 2 where the action was starting off in the mid lane, we saw everybody bringing that action to the top lane with a bit of a different result than expected.
That we did. What we're used to with Anda and Viper is attacking this top side relentlessly in the early game. All things go to plan, right? Well, not really. As you can see right there, Surenfire walks away with from that first play with a double kill. And it doesn't quite stop there either, as Viper teleports back to the play. Big is already here. They want to keep this one going. They want to continue the play in no-org fashion, but Viper dies a second time in a single play. We're about to watch him die a third time solo to Darshan as well. So this is all just in the first 6 minutes of the game. We see that Viper has died 3 times, and that's how you know this is a no-org game technically, but this is not how you expect to see those games start for them at all.
Yeah, when it comes to the side of no-org, it has been talked about extensively, the core that Viper is for that team as a carry potential, and it did get shut down right there at the start. Kelsey, what did you make of any adjustments made going into the mid-game to try and create some leads?
As Max pointed out, their usual game plan of snowballing top hasn't really worked out for them as much in this series in general. And on top of that, what we see happening instead is Value and Big taking much more of an initiative and much more of a role. Some of the creative stuff that they've done is that they've managed to push out bot, rotate mid, and make plays on mid consistently. 2 of them worked out. Copy was just not enjoying the early game, and that freed up Akali to kind of move around the map and to look for more options. It didn't really give them the satisfying conclusion that they did, but it does show Value really stepping up, and that's something that they can take forward going into the next game.
Exactly. Even though Cloud9 Academy were the ones to win this game, and we will touch on some of the reasons for that result, we do want to continue the discussion of how different of a game this was for no-orgs. Max, we just heard Kelsey mention Value and how he performed here today.
And we get to see this lovely stat from our incredible stats person, Chloe, here too, where you can clearly see that at the 15-minute mark, Value is taking a much bigger role in the team's tempo. You can see based on his gold share, he has significantly more than the first 2 games, and more than we expect to see from him on no-org in general. Just goes to show how devastating that early game was for Viper up in that top side. And Value, he really tried to step that up with the lethality Varus. He tried to go for these picks that we did see in that play just now on the replay. But for no-org, it definitely felt like when it came to the team fights, they really did still sort of feel like Viper wanted to go and make these really big plays like he was 6-0, but instead he was 0-6.
Without Viper in the position they normally have him in, they had to try and find that pressure elsewhere, but it didn't work out, Kelsey. Cloud9, in the end, came out strong in the team fights.
We're seeing Victor be an extremely successful pick for Cloud9 because it's playing well into what no-org wants to do. They want to all in and commit to an area, and they're getting just outside of the carry range in this fight, basically getting locked up by the gravity field and the front line of Cloud9, and King is completely untouched, just tears through this fight. Fire is looking for something a little cheeky, but because Cloud9 have position first, because they set up that specific area and took the fight there, pulling no-org all the way down, they managed to get a clean ace there.
And with the way that fight played out is exactly what these 5 champions want a fight to look like on Cloud9 Academy side too, where when this draft first came out and we took a look at it on the desk, we saw that the Victor and the Jinx didn't quite have a lot of extra peel, and they didn't have a lot of ways to follow up on a Hecarim and Relt engage. It definitely felt like there was a little bit of a rift in between the front line and the back line of Cloud9 Academy, but when Viper is just diving into your front line in range of Jinx and Victor, then you get all of your pieces at the same time. There's no longer that rift. Everyone is grouped up. You layer your crowd control very well on top of the damage. And that fight just signaled the beginning of the end, where it was a 5-for-0 ace for Cloud9.
Very much commending the Victor play there to set that up. Also got to give a shout out to Surenfire in the play earlier on in the game to really position themselves for that power later on. We have learned no org. They are sticking over with blue side. Kelsey, we just saw them return to blue side actually for the first time in this series, I believe. Any adjustments that you would like to see from draft or beyond for no org to extend this series to game 5?
I think we're going to see the definitive Hecarim first pick to end all Hecarim first picks coming out here. I think the benefit of Udyr is definitely that you can make something happen in this top lane fight with the AD, top damage, carry, right? That combination, normal top laners can't survive when you're crashing, but Gragas doesn't really allow you to dive too easily. Gragas is pretty difficult to dive. Darshan consistently picking these champions that are able to kind of thin out the top wave to delay the typical no-org snowball. So in that situation, you want Anda to go back to the Hecarim that was having such success for them in the first fight with his ability to go in, layer on top of the engaged support, take over the fight in the area, because these games are going long. As much as no-org would like them to end in 15 minutes, they're going a lot longer. And as I say that, obviously we had our fastest game so far, but it ended up turning on the mid-game fights. As soon as Cloud9 got their items, they were good to go, and they took a fight on their terms.
I'm going to present the same idea as Kelsey, but a little bit of a different flavor. I agree that Hecarim is super, super broken, but I think that it might be in no-org's best interest to just ban this champion on blue side, where they can open up Anda to go for some more of his unique picks. Maybe not the Poppy that we saw in game 2. That one didn't quite work out for him, but we know that he can pull out things like that in Italy, the Elise, and he also is very stellar on this Udyr, especially when he's not against the Hecarim too. So I feel like that might be a way to go as well, especially after Surenfire showed us these 2 astounding victories with both damage Hecarim and tank Hecarim.
I did catch a couple Anda fans on Twitter that were happy to see the Poppy come out. Maybe they wanted a different result. And Smags will have to see how things go down in the next game. Cloud9 Academy took that victory during the last one, so no org sit on their last chance to push this to a game 5 and solidify a spot in the winners finals. If you want to find out who gets that spot, stay tuned after the break.